All right, so we're here with a bit of a new series. We're gonna be calling this one. We're gonna call this Town Crier. We're gonna talk about some things that have happened this week, and we're gonna maybe talk about what we have coming up this week. But this will be the Town Crier video. The first thing I want to talk about, and it's just a small crew, like a bit of a skeleton crew here. It's me, we got Jekyll, and we got C. Uh, you guys are horror fans, right?
Big
Yeah,
horror fan.
Yeah, big horror fan. All right,
that's all my
so
parents watch.
yeah, I love horror movies and I love horror video games. As you can see pretty evidently by my channel and a lot of what I talk about, horror is I love it. But one of my favorite horror properties is Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures anthology. I love that company, whatever fucking company that is. Either of you guys know off the top of your head?
I don't know, but I'm going to look that up
Yeah, I was about to do the same.
I'm the only one here not on a laptop, so can't do
because
that.
they do good work. Like at least in the
Supermassive
game.
Games.
Yes,
Supermassive.
They do great storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
They also know how to definitely write stories from different points of view. Like
Mhm.
they
I.
essentially think of a story, but based on the different knowledge that you know,
Mhm.
it can either make it more detailed or it can lead to more mystery. And they know how to write it where they can essentially tell the same story even if you don't know certain information, or if
Yeah.
you go digging, you will have more information to continue, and it's still the same story.
Yep. I really
by the
love how
way,
they do
another
things.
thing about them, I did not notice they're the ones developing Little Nightmares 3.
Oh, I'm really excited for that now. Did they make the other two?
It does not seem like it on their
Okay.
list of games.
Yeah. But okay, so Supermassive does great horror video games, and they are clearly a lover of the horror movie genre, just based on like all the camera angles and all of the like setups. They know their horror movies. You can see that very clearly in The Quarry and Until Dawn.
And I was wrong. They did Little Nightmares 2 as well.
Okay, cool. But recently announced was Until Dawn the movie. And can I just tell you how excited I was for this movie until I saw the trailer? I am an Until Dawn fanboy, and I will be till the day I die. But this might be another unmentionable movie to me because something that has that I have either of you guys seen the trailer?
Not yet.
No, I was reading articles about it.
Yeah, okay. Well, the trailer this ooh. How do you guys feel about the words "This is Until Dawn reimagined"?
Hate it.
That sounds like a cop out. That just sounds like a cheap
Any
excuse.
I'm a
I
huge cinephile when it comes to Hollywood, and if I ever hear the word reimagined anymore, I immediately cringe and also know that whatever's about to be made is going to be absolute dog shit.
yeah.
Because
No, the pro
used to be a phrase where it was something good. Like let's take Clash of the Titans for example. Was an old movie, had its cult following, but then they remade it, but they stayed loyal to the story,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah,
they even
and it
added
was still
parts that were
amazing.
better. They got rid of that horrible clicking out, but it was such a glow up, and it stayed true to the original story. It felt like you were watching an updated version. But nowadays, when it comes to reimaginings, it's just absolute like I'm writing a whole different story that has nothing to do with the original context. And it's going to be something that is a passion project for my own self. And I don't care how you feel. I don't care about the fans.
Yeah,
Looking
so
at you, Disney.
That's just them promoting off of an already existing IP.
yeah, and I haven't even told you about what they're doing yet.
Yeah, I just watched the trailer real quick while Jekyll was talking, the little short trailer bit. And
Yeah.
yeah, it seems it's not until dawn. That's like it seems like it'll work, just not as
Yeah,
until
so
dawn.
the trailer, to run it down, I'm not showing the trailer on screen right here, but I should be, but I'm not. Um, what they're doing is so Until Dawn, just to give a basic rundown of the game, is set in a ski lodge way up in the mountains in the dead of winter. And a group of friends goes up there to mourn the loss of these twin sisters that had died in that lodge the year before. That's the basic setup. Obviously, it's a pretty standard horror movie setup. Creatures come out of the woodwork and attack the group. But the game, you play through the game controlling all of the characters. You are the main character of all of them. And by doing this, you can make some decisions, and you can either kill or keep alive various characters throughout the game. But Until Dawn, the movie, apparently wanted to respect that multiple ending style. So what they did, first off, you're no longer in the mountains. You're now in like a house or a cabin in the woods. It is an expanded universe of Until Dawn. And a new group of teens comes to this house in the woods for some reason. I don't know. The trailer didn't really explain that one. But inside this house, there seems to be a enchanted, cursed hourglass. And during their time in this cabin, it becomes a time loop of the teens jumping from horror genre to horror genre. They will get killed by a slasher. They'll be chased by a witch. They'll be faced up against murderers. They might be faced up against a madman. Who knows? They'll run through the different horror movie genres as the movie goes on. And this hourglass resurrects them when they die. Each of the group has a certain number of resurrections allotted to them. They can die permanently after those resurrections are up. And the only way to escape this curse is to survive through one of these horror movie genres until dawn. Now, that is not Supermassive's Until Dawn. I actually
Honestly,
like that as a movie concept. I like that as a movie concept.
they should
I
have
don't
honestly instead of calling it Until Dawn, they should have just called it The Dark Pictures.
yeah, if they had called it Dark Pictures, I would not have had an issue with it because it would have been another thing in the Dark Pictures anthology.
Yeah,
And
they should have
that
just
would have
added on
been
to the
great.
anthology.
Yeah, if they just
You know,
they could have just
I
called it
actually
fucking Hourglass.
Yeah.
you know, here's the thing.
Dark Pictures presents Hourglass, and I would have had no issues with this movie.
Here's my take on it. One, this is no longer Until Dawn.
No, of course not.
That's very clear. But at the same time, this is one using Until Dawn as the name to get people in seats because game media becoming movies and shows has been a real popular thing right now. Everyone wants to make a version of a game into a movie because they know it has a fan base, it is guaranteed sales. But if they were to do this, I think instead of a movie that you're basing this off of, you have a better chance of making it a series. And
Yeah,
then
okay.
each episode, everyone dies and it restarts.
That
But
actually
if
would have
that's
been
the
really
case,
good.
Yeah, that would have been great.
if
I
that's,
have just
if that's the case, it's essentially just becoming American horror stories.
yeah,
Because it's different versions of horror with the same cast.
I just looked up whether Supermassive is making this movie, and I can't find a clear answer on it. but just the immediate answer that Google gave me when I said Supermassive Until Dawn movie ? Serving as a live-action spin-off of the 2015 video game developed by Supermassive Games. It is set in the same universe but features an original standalone story that spans the series mythology. It's fucking Dark Pictures!
Yeah,
It's
so
Dark
they should have
Pictures.
just called it
Stop
Dark
calling it
Pictures.
Until Dawn. It's no longer Until Dawn. Just
That's-
call it what it is.
And they
I
made the
would've-
hourglass look like the hourglass from the Until Dawn
Yeah,
game.
that
on
I don't
purpose,
have
too.
an issue. I don't have an issue that the
Like I would
hourglass
have
in
been
the
fine
movie.
with that
Yeah.
if they weren't also naming it Until Dawn. That just makes it a double
Yeah.
down on their
No,
bullshit.
like if they were
It's
just
just a
if they were
reference.
if it was just like full out a movie set in the Until Dawn universe and they used that hourglass as the main set piece, I would have had no issues with it because that hourglass isn't really a thing in the games. It's just a piece of the design.
Mm-hmm. It belongs to the therapist, does it not? And that's
And
mainly
the therapist, the guy who mocapped the therapist, I can't remember his name right now, is going to be in the movie. He is involved with the creation of this movie.
Then
And
why is he there? If it's
He-
not the same story, he
Well-
has no point in that
Well,
story.
he still is a therapist that exists in that universe. And I don't know if he's playing the same character as he did in the games, but I just really wish, honestly, I just wish they had changed the title. I just want it to be called
Yeah.
Dark Pictures Hourglass now.
'Cause
Because that's a
it
perfectly
seems like-
fine title. And
Like I definitely do think it will probably be a success. It seems
Yeah.
like it will be a good movie. It's
Yeah,
a very obvious cast grab.
it did I hate that it sounds like a good movie because naming it Until Dawn just feels like an insult to Until Dawn. It sounds like a good movie, and I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna be pissed because the name's wrong.
It honestly sounds like a good game itself too. If they would have
Yeah.
made a game inspired
Yeah,
afterward.
this concept, this design feels so on brand for them. It's super their style. It is the correct theming, it is the correct design, it is the correct everything with the wrong name. And I know that Until Dawn is named because it is basing itself on a horror movie trope that you have to survive through the night, that no help is coming until dawn. Yes, I know that the game's named after the trope, and I know that this movie is using the trope. But if they had just, like, said that in the movie, if there was just a line that ended in Until Dawn and they just, like, fucking played the theme song of Until Dawn for a few seconds at that moment as like a nod to the game and called it Dark Pictures Hourglass. If they had called it that and then referenced Until Dawn in the way I just said,
Yeah,
I
just
would
have it
have-
as more of a respectful inspiration.
Yeah,
like
if it's
just
a
inspired
nod.
by it
if it's
instead
not,
of being a reimagined.
yeah, or a spin-off set in the universe. Which means it's not Until Dawn. I wish they had named it something else. And I know I'm not a movie critic. I'm not that invested in like Hollywood or anything, but like this feels close to home.
Or honestly, if they wanted to use the Until Dawn title, since they say this is a spin-off, they could have called it Until Dawn Chapter 2. Or like you said, Until Dawn Hourglass. They could have still used that title and
Yeah,
also
if they had just put a subtitle, like if they had put a subtitle and called it Until Dawn Hourglass, and maybe at the beginning of the movie you see one of the original cast of Until Dawn, like working a different job or working some supernatural investigator shit or whatever the fuck they're doing, just have them be them, their character, just interact with the characters of the new set for a few seconds and then get on with the new set's story. As it's a follow-up spin-off of the game. I would have had no problem with that. It's just they are, I don't know, as far as I could tell, the Until Dawn movie I thought we were getting Until Dawn the movie. And what we're getting is maybe kind of
Something else.
somewhat like Until Dawn. And one of the segments that they have said is one of the go-rounds in, as they're jumping from horror movie genre to horror movie genre, might be a Wendigo. There,
Might.
yeah. There might
First
be
of all,
a,
the word "might be" is a big red flag to me.
I don't know. It's just they could have done this better. And also, if they're worried about attracting the Until Dawn crowd to the movie, this wasn't the way to do it. The way to do it would have been to put this in the Dark Pictures series, because we're still the same people. The Dark Pictures crowd are still the Until Dawn crowd.
Yeah, because the true fans of Until Dawn love the Dark Pictures shit.
Because the Dark Pictures are great. Like, there were some of them I didn't care for that much because I wish they had leaned more into the supernatural than illness and drugs. But that's
Yeah.
neither here nor there. Because, like, yeah, it's they always set it up like it was. They always set it up as if it were supernatural events, but then they would, at the end, make it a twist ending, and it'd be, oh, a hallucinogenic gas had filled the ship, or whatever
Yeah,
the fuck
I'm not gonna lie,
else.
I was pissed by the end of that game.
What was that, Manamadan that did that?
Yeah, I enjoyed the game, but that was I didn't
Yeah,
like
I
the
wish they had just
conclusion.
stuck with it being like a ghost and zombie ship.
Yeah.
It would have been fine. Nobody would have had an issue with it. But the one that there was one that actually was supernatural or aliens maybe, the vampire one, which I think was House of Ashes.
That's the one that I don't know about. That's the one I haven't watched or played.
Yeah, House of Ashes, that one's set in I think Saudi Arabia, and a group of American soldiers falls down into an ancient temple, and then there are vampires down there. Or maybe it was Egypt or something, because I think the beginning. Okay, I was just told that it was some
We were at war with them.
the Middle Eastern country that we were at war with. Take your pick. I'm sorry. But
I mean,
anyway,
at least you're not lying.
yeah, the game progresses as both a group of American soldiers has fallen down into this ancient temple, as well as a group of the opposing soldiers. And you control everyone involved. But as you're going through, you're fighting these vampire creatures, and there are characters that get infected with the vampirism. But it turns out that these vampires are legitimate vampires, but they are descended from a crashed alien ship. The vampires turn out to be aliens, which I don't hate that. That's not that big of a thing.
Alien Pyres.
Yeah, alien pyres, whatever. As they're still leaning into the supernatural aspect of it, and I have no problem with that. It's when they like fall back to like a sickness or a drug or a gas or whatever the fuck is when I feel a little bit cheated by those. But those are all good. And the Quarry, which is the newest one, I think, because I think more Dark Pictures games are coming
Yeah.
out here soon.
The Quarry was the werewolf one, but
Yeah,
they
the Quarry was the
they
werewolf
looked like
one,
Wendigos.
and the
Which, just gotta say, speaking for my personal team, avid werewolf fan, they fucking killed it with
Yeah.
the werewolf design and like how it spread and everything. I love that
I had
shit.
no problem with the Quarry, and it was really nice because like one of the first things I noticed about the Quarry was fucking London Tipton was there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Forgot her fucking name, but
Brenda Song, I believe.
Brenda Song. Yeah, I hadn't seen her in anything for a long time, and then she was there, and I was
Yeah,
like,
she's
oh, that's
awesome.
cool. But
She does a lot of shit.
yeah, but like, I don't know. I love those games, and this movie just feels wrong. It feels like we could have had another Last of Us situation where they just ported a game to the screen, left it alone, and fucking just raked in the money. If they
they
had just
even made some changes in that,
Yeah,
and it
yeah, but-
still turned out great.
if they made a mostly faithful adaptation of Until Dawn and put it on the fucking film screen, they could have just sat back and counted their money.
They even could have still did the whole oh they're dying and resetting thing, but in a different way than what they're trying to do now.
Yeah. It feels like they have wasted a title and wasted a great movie concept and made something that we're all going to be too pissed off to watch.
Yeah, because like
So
this movie could have also spinned off into another game too, but now there's already a game with the same name, so they kind of fucked themselves to that route.
Yeah. This is just what feels like a monumental fail in marketing.
I will say this right here. My main concerns, and this is me leaving my hate at the door. This is my perspective. If I had never heard of Until Dawn, never played the game, never heard the story, I'm
Yeah.
going to leave that at the door. My biggest concerns right now, as like a huge film buff, is the fact, one, most movies that deal with multiple monsters tend to feel real cheap. And like when it came to Cabin in the Woods, it made sense because of what the story was about. But if you do look at how
Cabin in the Woods
Alien
worked.
and Predator,
Yeah.
and
Cabin
then
in the
the
Woods
AVP
worked
movies,
because it was a meta movie. Like
Yeah.
everyone knew that it was a scary movie. It was a great horror movie, but also it was kind of taking the piss because it was legitimately all of the horror movie tropes are contained in this secret government bunker, and these dipshit kids are being fed to it for some reason. They didn't even give an explanation, which is fine. They don't need to explain it.
They said it was some kind of godlike being.
Somehow this is gonna save the world.
and the funny thing is, like, now that it's been its own thing, there a huge fan base for it has come out, and the director themselves essentially said, I want this movie to essentially be the answer for any horror movie you ever watch.
Yeah.
It can essentially be
Yeah,
this
Cabin in
movie can be in every universe you've ever seen a horror movie in.
Yeah, Cabin
And
in the
it
Woods.
just-
Cabin in the Woods it's a horror movie. Or no, it's a parody of a horror movie it's a parody of a parody horror movie.
Essentially, yeah.
It's parodying like Scary Movie. And then because it's been parodied twice, it comes back around to being a horror movie.
And the Scary
It's
Movie was
so
a parody of Scream, which was also a parody of scary movies.
Yeah. The whole thing of it
Scream
is
was-
Scream is great. Scary Movie is great. Fucking Cabin in the Woods also great. The reason those work is because at the very core of it, they're making a joke about themselves.
Also, they're fucking original.
Yes. Well,
And-
no, they aren't.
They're
by
not. but
by
the story
definition,
that
they are
tell
very
is
not.
original. They are taking aspects that are pre-made and they're making their own story.
Yes, which is what
And that's
Until
what makes them-
Dawn, the video game, did.
Mm-hmm.
But now,
And now, look what we're getting.
Until Dawn, the movie is just, it's looping back around to being bad by taking elements of, so like, Until Dawn, the game, took the most basic and tropey and bad things about classic horror movies and made something amazing out of it. But if you take the formula of Until Dawn the game, which is based around the bad aspects of horror movies, if you just try and distill that back down to make something new out of it, you're gonna get something super generic and boring. Like, and okay, so I don't think a one-to-one movie adaptation of Until Dawn would have been the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. Because it would have just been the fucking game that I already played. But I would have watched it. I would have loved to see that. If I could just have a condensed 2-hour version of Until Dawn that I could scratch the itch for the game without spending 12 hours replaying the game, that would have been great. I would have loved that. This... This is just something... I might never watch this movie because it... I'm going to say it. This feels like an Aragon situation.
I don't know what that is.
Aragon is one of the greatest book series I've ever read, and it was made into a movie.
Oh, is that the one with the dragons on the cover?
Yeah, it is a
I
Dragon
have
Rider
that
book
book.
series, and it's a
I
Dragon
haven't read
Rider
it yet.
movie. You should absolutely read Aragon. I
I
recommend
think I have
everybody
two
read.
of them. I have 2 of the books. I
There
think.
are 4 books and then a spin-off book now. But anyway, they made a movie based on Aragon, and it was unbelievably shit. Because they didn't stick to it enough, and they flubbed the landing.
They did the same thing with I Am Number 4.
Yes, I Am Number 4 is another fucking insulting movie that could have been
I
amazing.
was so pissed off because the book is amazing.
I love I Am Number 4. I love the whole series. But just, there are so many like that. Like, Seventh Son was based on the Ranger's Apprentice, or The Last Apprentice. The Last Apprentice, I get those two mixed up a lot. Which is another great, like, young adult horror story that I read as a kid. And then they just fucking butchered it for the movie. And
So, here's another thing. I honestly think we could have had a different solution to the problem. One, I know that
I think
C,
the
he said
easiest
that Happy
route, the easiest route for this would have just been naming that fucking thing Dark Pictures.
that
And like
Well-
I said earlier, make it a TV series.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
because
I
like
don't
y'all
know if
said,
we were talking
American
about-
Horror Stories
Yeah, I don't
made
know if
that
we were
work.
talking about this. I think we were talking about
No.
this before we started recording, but yeah, we were talking about how this could be an amazing TV series. Like,
no, I
honest-
said that.
Oh, did we say that on camera?
Yeah, and
Okay.
that was. But here's the other thing: if you wanted to do a fun way of doing multiple endings, pull a 1408 or a or freaking Spider-Verse, where you have the same movie come out and you have different endings shot, and
Yeah.
depending on what you find is your ending that you get.
Yeah, that
And-
that does work, but that also, that I understand why they wouldn't do that, because especially if I was like, if the budget is not as absolutely massive as Spider-Verse, that can be a massive undertaking to shoot multiple endings.
Plus streaming
If they-
services.
It really doesn't have to be that
Most
big of a
people don't
budget
buy.
problem. You keep most of the story the same. You
Yeah,
add
just the
extra
end.
shots that you are saying that you're just filming one whole movie, but you cut it to certain points where it has a different story being told.
The
Yeah,
problem is most people don't buy movies anymore.
yeah, physical media
see
is dying.
Stream
Well,
that shit.
And
Yeah.
if you have a streaming thing, have movie A, B, or C. There you go.
Yeah, just make it like episodic, like a selection.
As if it's a different like a season.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Another thing I will say, and this is a personal take. C, I know that you said you liked Happy Death Day.
Like is a strong word. I can watch it.
All right.
Yeah.
And it
I
was successful for what it
forced.
was.
I got forced to go to a movie theater as a show choir group thing to
I
go
was
see
not
that
there for
movie.
that. I hadn't joined yet.
Nah. And I'm telling you right now,
I
everyone
missed
was so
nothing.
hyped to go see that movie. I personally hated it.
Yeah.
Look, I understand time loops can work. Honestly, Groundhog Day, one of the funniest fucking movies
Yeah,
I've ever watched.
there-
I will watch that again and again.
And then there's
But-
that. There's like the Amazon TV series that was a time loop as well. That was pretty good, I think. There have been a couple time loop things that did it well.
They can work, but a lot of them don't, in my eyes, simply for the fact it causes you to rush your movie.
Yeah.
A lot of your stuff will be rushed because you need to have a reset during the day. So
Yeah,
you
like
therefore you have to cut a lot of the main points of a good story, which is building a character,
yeah, which is
making a character
why
feel fleshed out,
the
making you have a relationship with them.
yeah, which is why I'm really kind of annoyed that they focused on the multiple route and multiple ending aspect of Until Dawn. They should have just picked the most common route of the game, or like the best route, or the most cinematic route, because the reason that the multiple ending setup can work, or the focus on every character setup can work, is because Until Dawn is like a fucking 20-hour game. You can't have a 20-hour movie. You can have a 2-hour movie, and like every time loop is gonna feel condensed. You're gonna see it's gonna end up being like a montage of 6 deaths all at once, where it's just gonna be like a smash shot of some character getting their head busted off by various monsters,
Oh
and
yeah, most likely.
it's not gonna feel satisfying, because it'll just be like we see them go through maybe the first 2 loops, then we see a smash cut of them dying a couple more times, and then we're gonna see all the characters huddled around saying,
As
all
well
right,
as some
this
all
is the
cringe
last.
shit.
They're gonna be huddled around, and they're gonna be saying like, "Oh, this is the last loop. We gotta make it this time, or we're dead." And then it'll
This
just be a climax, and it's just gonna feel cheap.
See, right there, what you just said is why I don't like time loop movies, especially in the horror genre. Mainly because once you kill off a character and they immediately come back for a loop, you completely ruin your suspense. Because therefore, your character can die as many times as they need to
Yeah.
restart and do something different and do something better.
And
But
at the
if
most, they
they
might have
are,
a couple of them die permanently before the
Yeah, I
last
don't know.
cycle. But
But
after
that's the
that, it's
only way. That's the only way you can get it to work.
guys, I know we could do this all night, but we gotta remember this is a mini episode, so we're gonna cut it off here. We're at 30 minutes. So, welcome to the first episode of Town Crier, where we talk about recent topics. But we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna go back to the main quest. We're gonna go about our day, and we hope you do the same. Bye.
see you, Bumblecluts.
See ya.